in our program. It's very rarely that we send someone to jail because nowhere in my job description does it say that I'm to incarcerate people, right? My job description is to reduce the jail bill in Mercer County. It is to reduce recidivism rates in West Virginia, and is to return people whole to the community that are recovering, tax-paying, productive members of society. Mm-hmm. That is my job.
Welcome to Creepalachia. Drug court is in session. Thankfully, we have a professional in the studio that reached out and wanted to talk drug court, and we have 2 participants in the drug court program that we're going to hear some inspiring recovery stories from. So I'm excited to meet all of you. We've got Lakie, Jimmy, and Waneta.
Yes.
Thank y'all for being here. We're going to go one by one. Introduce everybody. So we'll go with you first, Lakie Delida. Okay. Who are you?
So my name is Lakie Delida, and I am the drug court coordinator and probation officer for a drug court in West Virginia.
Perfect. And do we want to say I mean, it don't matter what county. I think I can say the county. They didn't say that I couldn't. Mercer County, baby.
Okay, Mercer County.
Let's go. Yeah, we got to rep Mercer County in the studio. Well, thank you for being here. Jimmy, how about you?
Yeah, my name is Jimmy Ward, and I am a drug court graduate. And also, now that done with the program, I am a community engagement specialist for Recovery Point in Bluefield.
Heck yeah, I love Recovery Point. Hear a lot of good things and follow y'all on social media. So very cool. And Waneta.
Hi. Yeah, my name is Waneta Cunningham. I am a drug court graduate also, and I am currently the PRSS for medical field in Bluefield.
Awesome. Well, I love Bluefield too. West Virginia?
Oh, Bluefield. No, I'm sorry. Princeton.
Princeton. Okay. Well, Princeton works. Bluefield's only 20 minutes away. Yeah. I mean, it's close enough. Well, cool. All right, y'all. Well, so we're going to talk drug court. So I guess the best way to do that first, Lakie, let's set up what drug court is for people who may not have a clue what it is. And that's still admittedly me. I just know it has drug in it and it's not court. It's drug court. So what is it exactly?
Okay. So it actually kind of is court. Like we have court every week to 2 weeks, and that's where we staff each participant, and we talk about it as a treatment team, and to discuss their progress in the program, discuss some of the issues that they're having, and look for ways to help them overcome the barriers that many people face when trying to recover from substance use disorder. Some of the barriers are like lack of housing, lack of income, lack of clothing. And we've kind of tackled some of those issues. With my specific drug court, we have implemented a contingency management therapeutic system. We call it a token economy. And that is where the participants get tokens, and they are able to come into the drug court store and shop for things that they need for desired behaviors that they have proved through participation in the program. So they're able to come in and get things like Tide laundry detergent, Snuggle like fabric softener, shampoos, conditioners, toothbrushes, toothpaste, things that we don't think about people not having access to, or they're having to take money away from like their rent in order to meet their basic needs. So if you look at Maslow's like hierarchy of needs, the first thing that we have to look at is like assessing people's personal like basic needs, like making sure that they're safe, that they're secure, that they have housing, that they have food, and like they feel appreciated.
Sure. Yeah. Totally. Go ahead.
Drug court is a voluntary program for one. Like nobody's sentenced to that program without accepting the guidelines and having their attorney go over thoroughly what the program is. It is an alternative sentence to prison, but in addition to the supervision aspect, which is where I come in. We also have the treatment aspect of the program, which is like a partnership, this beautiful partnership of recovery resources that come together and address the individualized needs of these people and make sure that they're where they need to be and they have the things they need in order to be successful. And we have like amazing partnerships. And we couldn't be as successful as we are without those partnerships. People like Case West Virginia, Recovery Point Bluefield, Southern Highlands Community Mental Health Center, Bluestone Health Associates, like they all come together and they're part of our treatment team and they help us address those needs. And I think because of that, we are so successful.
I love it. So can someone opt in or out?
They can.
Okay.
Like we have a form that you can sign at any time. Like if you feel like the program is not a good fit for you, you are able to like self-discharge. It is considered an unsuccessful discharge, and you will have to go back in front of your judge for sentencing. Like I said, it is an alternative sentence to prison.
Right.
So like you don't have to be a part of it, and you actually have to want to be a part of it to do well.
Yeah. What is the typical reason? Because we've had, we have a lot of opinions that come through the studio, and we've had people that have had, negative experiences and some positive. What is the typical reason someone would opt out of the program?
With drug court being like centered in drugs, you would think that substance use would be the primary issue that we deal with.
Mm-hmm.
However, like when we get people the resources that they need and we get them in appropriate housing and we're meeting those basic needs, what we're really struggling with is like changing behaviors and changing thinking. So we have cognitive behavioral therapy groups that are designed to help people change their thinking so we can in turn change their behavior, which is criminal behavior that has helped them to acquire the charges that have led them to alternative sentencing in the first place.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of what I see with successful, quote unquote, I know, when you're in recovery, you're technically in recovery your entire life. But let's just say successful being, they're doing good, they're clean for many years, they got a job, they're, living life. Typically, accountability is very strong with those cases of people who know, like, listen, I used to do the wrong thing. Now, I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to do the right thing. And I know I was wrong. That's typically what I see in success stories. And I'm sure we're going to hear a lot of that today. So let's walk through that just one thing at a time. Jimmy, tell me your story.
So I'm originally from Huntington, West Virginia. I was raised up in Columbus, Ohio. I moved back to Huntington when I was my early 20s. Mind you, the whole time, young age, selling drugs, getting into trouble. And first got originally hooked on Oxycontin. And that progressed over the years to a very, very expensive and bad heroin and fentanyl habit. Caught my charges in Huntington for a burglary and was sentenced to a 1 to 15, which originally got my sentence was probation, 2 years on paper. And I made it all the way almost to the end of that. Mind you, the whole time I was getting high, manipulating the system and, cleaning up for drug screens, manipulating my PO, like whatever I had to do to stay out of jail. Couldn't keep a job, couldn't function in society. It wasn't until that I failed at home confinement for the second time that they sent me back to jail. I sat at Western Regional for 5.5 months and got taken back in front of the judge for a reconsideration for drug court. And this was Cabell County. I participated in Cabell County Drug Court for almost 2 years and got restarted 3 times. Sent to the recovery point down in Huntington.
What year was this?
2000 that I caught my charge.
Yeah.
17, I believe.
Gotcha.
Excuse me.
So I've been, I was even involved in the system before that, but that was the first felony. That's what, kind of brought everything to light.
Sure.
And kept messing up down in Huntington. Was sent to Recovery Point in Huntington, kept messing up there, was dipping and dabbling with K2, was discharged from their program, sent back to jail. And I had given up. Like I was, every time I get a little bit ahead in life, feel like I was doing something, I would fail. And just got to the point to where I was hopeless. I was just like, they came in. I remember my probation officer coming to the jail and seeing me. And she was like, Jimmy, we just don't know what to do with you no more. And I said, I'm done. Send me to prison. Like I got 9 months in on a 115. I said, I'll parole out. I said, it'll be fine. And she left me sitting in there. And I remember she came back. It was probably a week later. And mind you, me and her had a good it was professional relationship, but she was also a friend. And she didn't give me the option. She said, I'm sending you to Bluefield. We're transferring you to Mercer County Drug Court, going to Recovery Point in Bluefield. And that's the end of it.
You think she saved your life?
Absolutely. Today is actually 2 years sober for me.
Heck yeah, man. Congratulations.
Coming down here, I had expectations. Like I felt like I deserved to be further along in the program than I was because I'd been there for so long and in both programs, Recovery Point and Drug Court. But after a while, like it just became something that I wanted more than anything in my life. I wanted those relationships back with my family. I have a 13-year-old son and been in and out of his life. So life just like my father was when I was younger. I just made it a point. I said, I'm done. I give up, whatever I got to do, I'm willing to take in all this material, all this stuff that you're trying to teach me. I'm willing to learn. Definitely a lot of hard work and effort was put into everything. And, it's just all about gratitude for me. I'm grateful for Mercer County Adult Drug Court. I'm grateful for Recovery Point, not just in Bluefield, but as a whole, because I'm now employed by them. They gave me a job right out of the program. Like I've been there for a year. I got those, me and my mom, we talk every day. Me and my son, we talk every day. Like the life I have today, like I could have never imagined 2 years ago that I would be where I'm at.
Awesome, man. How old's your son?
13.
Good deal.
4th of July, baby.
Yeah. So he's going through a lot right now. So this is good timing because these are going to be some tough years.
He is going. So his mother was in a ATV accident a little over a year ago, and she's in a wheelchair.
Oh,
and so there's a lot going on down there right now. But like he's a trooper, man. Like he's doing the best he can with the situation that has happened. And that's kind of conflicted me with like where I'm at in life because, not too long ago, I was faced with a decision whether I was going to move back down there or if I was going to stay here and continue on the path that I was on. And me and my mom was talking one night and she was just like, you could move back down here and obviously you could get a job and you can be doing all these things. But she said like all your brotherhood, your fellowship, all your friends, everything like you've planted that seed in that community. And it's a community that I'm a really big part of now.
Yeah.
Like some of the same judges that I stood in front of as a criminal, I now stand in front of advocating for other people. And it's a great experience to get to be able to do that.
That's awesome, man. So the incentive, Lakie, does drug court, like if you complete the program successfully, and I want to break it down to like a granular, simple, basic, all right, you do 2 weeks of this, you do 5 months of this, like is the incentive to lower your time?
Well,
and also to get off drugs, obviously, but it sounds like someone has to be ready to do it because you can't recover until you're ready. I mean, from what I gather.
absolutely. And most people that come into the program are not ready to change. Like they come in and their expectation is to not go to prison and to be able to, live a free life. And, drug court is a very tough program. Like, I don't want to minimize like how difficult it is to graduate successfully this program because it is very tough. In fact, so tough that I couldn't do it myself. So we'll get into that a little bit later.
Sure.
But like we have a 5-phase program, and each of the phases are set up and designed on best standards and practices that are implemented across the United States. Like teams of experts have all sat down and created this guideline that we have implemented in our program. And because of that, people are able to be successful. And like our phase system is set up on an individualized basis. Like it addresses individualized needs of the participant. So we get a holistic view of this human being, right? And we break that down into like goals, and we set up a treatment plan and a service plan that matches like what their goals are and what their struggles are. So we look at their physical health, we look at their mental health, we look at some spirituality. We're limited to what we can and can't enforce because we are a court system. So we can't,
Let's say I'm a Satanist. Can you provide?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Like, I just bought a Wiccan Bible for one of the participants that wanted to look at alternative, spiritual guidelines.
Sure.
Like, we are open to support whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to make jokes here because obviously this is an important topic and serious topic, but people know I make jokes. But the reason I said that, I just did a story about a guy who filed a lawsuit against West Virginia for practice. He wanted to practice Satanism in Moundsville Penitentiary. So I was just curious. But I mean, everyone out there, believe what you want, but that's awesome to hear that it's customizable because, it is different. It's a different picture for everyone.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Recovery is an individual journey, and like everybody's journey looks a little bit different. So while we have these standard guidelines, we're looking at like what they're missing. So every graduate of my program leaves with a high school education. If they don't have that when they come in, they are enrolled into GED classes. They are actively working towards paying on their fines and getting their driver's license. Excuse me.
You're good.
So they are coming in with tools to be successful. We also look at their education, holistically. Do they want to go to college? What are their goals long term? Look at, what are their mental health goals? Like some people come in with, co-occurring conditions, and they are fighting demons that are not just the substance use disorder. We also see like schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, and they each have individualized needs and individualized medicines that we need to look at. And that's why our partnerships are so important, because we have people that specialize in those things
Sure.
and are able to address those needs. And like I said, we take a holistic approach. Like the Adult Learning Center in Princeton, they are a godsend. They sit down and work with these people. I have people that don't know how to read when they come into the program.
Sure. I don't know how to read now. So, I get it. That's comforting to hear. Because, people like to just point at Appalachia and say, look at these dumb hillbillies, but I know personally, I didn't even have to know you to know that there are a lot of really intelligent and hardworking people out there trying to figure this whole thing out. And a lot of people are figuring it out. So that's what this show's all about. And you mentioned, we'll get into your story in a second, because I think that's really important to talk about too, because I think the best people working in recovery have, to me, boots on the ground experience in it, because it's one of those things like you're not really going to understand what someone's going through unless you've been through it yourself. Not that there's not people doing great work that haven't been, suffered from addiction, but that's just my own personal opinion, is the best workers in recovery are recovering themselves, in my opinion. But Waneta, let's talk about you. We talked about you trying to figure out like, hey, did I sell you like a box of steaks one time? And I'm like, I don't think so. There's two guys that showed up and they opened a box and showed me all this meat, but it wasn't you. But yeah. So tell me a little bit about you and your backstory.
Well, I am from Doddridge County. Had a messed up childhood that led to my addiction. Lots of very traumatic experiences that was set forth by my mother. So it took my security of everything, just took my security away. And ended up finding drugs, and that was my escape. Couldn't get out physically, so I chose the mental outing when I realized that helped. And it just kind of ran amok after that. And when I say at a young age, I was like very young, like first incident for trauma was like 5, 6 up to 11. And that was about the time that I was able to stop it myself. So all of that played into my usage throughout my entire life. I'd never dealt with anything, like nothing. Caught charges left and right. I've done about 13 years in prison and jail altogether. Not all at one stint, but altogether. Never was I ever offered any kind of help. It was always go straight to prison. My last charges that I caught was in 22, and I was a recidivist, which is life.
The 3-strike rule?
Yes.
Is that what that is? Okay.
Yes. And I was going in front of a judge up home in Clarksburg, Judge Bedell, and he was very well known for sentencing people to big charges or big bids.
Dropping the hammer.
Yeah. And that's who I had to go in front of. Well, he ended up reading over my federal PSI that had nothing to do with the case that I was on, plus the discovery packet. And he talked to me and asked me what the change was, because when I'd first gotten out and for the year or two, I was good. And then all of a sudden I just flip-flopped and went in reverse. And I sat there for just a couple seconds thinking about it, thinking, should I just tell him the truth? And I finally came to the conclusion, what's it going to hurt? I'm already sitting in orange. It ain't going to hurt much more. So I did. I told him, what had happened to me. I sold food door to door for years and years. In October of 2019, I was sitting at a park reading a book, fell asleep, and woke up to 2 guys raping me. Couldn't get away. And I couldn't bring myself to go back out and knock doors, not knowing who they were. So it freaked me out. Took me completely outside of myself. And the only way that I knew to survive money-wise and make as much money as what I did, on a normal, was to sell drugs. And I didn't have to deal with just a couple people. So, it was a win-win in my head. The win-win wasn't quite a win-win. Ended up caught my charges and, all that became. So Judge Bedell tells me that he's not going to be another statistic like the rest of the judges had been. He was actually going to offer me help that no one else had ever tried. And he was hoping that I would take it and run with it. He gave me the GOALS program, which is rehab in jail. It's actually what I was shooting for. That's what I was pushing for. My lawyer, 5 days before my sentencing hearing, didn't even know anything about the GOALS program. So I really thought I was going to prison for the rest of my life. That's a hard thing to prepare for.
Phew, I can imagine.
But he took leniency with me and gave me the goals program. Told me, once I completed, I could go back home if I wanted. That was my full intentions. And, about 3 months into the goals program, it's a 6-month program. It's kind of like RSAT and RDAP, which is the drug programs in state and federal prison, which is usually an 18-month program. And it's shortened down into 6 months. You still got all the same books and everything. You just got less time to do it. I completed it. Once I completed it, I came down here. I came straight down here. I didn't put in for anywhere else whatsoever to go to other than Bluefield, to the Highland House.
Right.
And I asked Judge Bedell to put it in my order so that I could get in and secure a bed easier, quicker. And he did. So I came 4.5 hours away from home, started over from scratch with absolutely nothing. He told me that he was considering putting me into drug court, and he wasn't sure about it at the time when I had the sentencing hearing. But by the time I had gotten down here, he had time to think about it, apparently, and he decided that's what I needed. And at the time I was like, well, I mean, really, do I really need that? But I mean, I'll take something from it, I'm sure. But yeah. And once I got down here and got into the program and everything, honestly, Judge Bedell was absolutely right. I did need it. It was the extra structure of the program that helped keep me going, and still helps keep me going to this day. But I never in a million years imagined that I would be where I'm at today. As many felonies as I have under my belt, as many years as I've got in prison and in jail, and I work in a doctor's office. I mean, that's not something that someone with my past would ever think that would even be remotely possible. Been there for a little over a year, almost a year and a half now. Mm-hmm. Love it. Love the fact that I can help people the way that I was helped. It still blows my mind that how everything turned out. I never thought that I would be anything other than a felon, a junkie, and I thought I was going to die that way. But lo and behold, there was another plan.
Thank God. Goodness gracious. And hearing how your life started out, I mean, and I'm, it sounds like you were in an abuse situation at a very young age. Like, we like to just sit and think that the answer is just black and white. Like, why can't they do this? Why can't they just do the right thing when we don't have near the traumatic life experience that is involved there? So it's impossible for someone to understand what life is like unless you've been through that yourself. And glad you're here. And you're, I imagine, I don't know, maybe, do you have low self-esteem when you're in addiction? Do you just think you're not deserving? Because me, I think, like, I want to keep talking about it until every addict recovers. Every single one of them. I know it's like glass half full type stuff, but I don't care. What's the contrary? But like, for you personally, how did you start to believe in yourself again?
To be honest, I learned at a very young age that everything's not perfect. Everything gets messed up, and you have to find a positive in it. That's a really tough thing to find something positive in, to bring something positive out of. The only thing that I could bring out of that situation itself was that what not to do, what not to be, and I strive for that every single day of my life. And I still to this day, even throughout throughout the madness and everything, that's the one thing that I strive for, was to be nothing like her. So
good for you. And I relate a lot to that, because I haven't, I'm addicted to, my cell phone and all kinds of random things. I've never had a drug addiction, but, my dad did beat the hell out of me when I was a kid, and I was in a physical abuse situation. And that's mainly what I took from it, was like, well, the cycle's going to end here. Now, granted, thankfully, I figured out how to route my pain, and mainly ways of art is mostly what I would do. And it sounds like you did you escaped in some ways that really took you. You mentioned the word madness. I've heard that a few times. What do you mean by that?
Throughout her addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's relatable, because that's all it is madness. That's pretty much what addiction is. It's madness.
It's like the getting and using and finding ways to continue to get high.
The insanity.
To feed that demon, and, to just avoid being sick. And it becomes, a point where people no longer have a choice in whether they use or not. Like their choice is taken from them, because like they have to use in order not to be sick. So, finding ways to like reduce those barriers, such as, medicated assisted treatment, and detox programs, and, the fellowship, having people believe in you, when you don't believe in yourself, like that is where it's at,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's personal for you. Do you mind sharing your story?
No, not a bit. I think my story is very unique. But I also think that it addresses, the progressiveness of West Virginia and how we're trying to reduce bias and stigma. So like I previously mentioned, like drug court is a very difficult program. And, it does have high expectations of our graduates. We expect you to change your thinking and change your behaviors and stop using and have a certain amount of clean time and, have a general education and, to be able to transport yourself here and there and to have long-term goals. Well, back in 2011, I found myself in a situation where I was standing in front of a judge and I was offered the adult drug court program in the same county that I work. I entered the program and I was not a successful completion of that program. Like I didn't make it. As a matter of fact, like I had a lot of hard feelings towards the program. And I did think it was a setup for failure. And I did think it was a money racket, like some of the people that have said, that have come onto the program. Mm-hmm. We'll address some of those, like rumors and hearsay
Sure.
a little bit later on. But, I'm a person in long-term recovery, and I'm a person that has been formerly incarcerated. And today I wear a badge and I carry a gun and I work with the same judge every day. That sentenced me to prison.
Wow.
So, like I said, my story is very unique, but I had a lot of people that believed in me and loved me when I wasn't able to love myself. And because of that, like I get to experience the life that I have today. And it's beautiful and it's rewarding. And it's getting to see people achieve goals that I couldn't achieve myself.
Heck yeah. What kind of gun? That's cool.
Well, today I have a Glock 380.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. And this is a constitutional carry state, for those who need to know. But anyway, that's I love the twists that come with this show. But it's very motivating to me to see, first off, that, someone can work with a judge that's, convicts them of, well, he sent you to drug court, right? He didn't.
Well, they sent me to drug court and then they kicked me out of drug court.
Gotcha. So, and you complete drug court. Are you in jail, or like how does the program? Are you following certain guidelines outside of jail?
So, like, just like recovery, like everybody's journey is a little bit different. Some people enter the program and they are given a deferred adjudication, which was my option and why I entered treatment. I was a first-time offender and I'd never been in trouble before. I didn't have a violent offense and I didn't have a sexual offense. So like I was eligible for the deferred adjudication, which means that if I completed the drug court program, that I would not have a criminal record when I completed the program.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
So there's so many people that come in under those stipulations, and those are the ones that I love to work with the most. And I'll try very hard to help them to achieve that goal, because, once you have that felony conviction, there is a lot of stigma and there is a lot of bias and there is a lot of hurdles, like getting employment. It's super hard when you have to check that box. Yes, I'm a felon. I can't tell you how many jobs I've been turned down for because I had to check that box for a very long time. So like helping people to get that miss and to have that chance that even though they messed up, they can come out with a fresh start. Like there's something just beautiful about that. But like I said, not everybody comes in under the same situation. Some people have already been sentenced and they've been put on probation and they were not able to successfully do probation because they continued to use. So I will get referrals from probation officers and will like give them the additional cushion of having drug court, the additional support, the additional supervision, the increased treatment. And like we don't use jail as a sanction very often in our program. It's very rarely that we send someone to jail because nowhere in my job description does it say that I'm to incarcerate people, right? My job description is to reduce the jail bill in Mercer County. It is to reduce recidivism rates in West Virginia, and is to return people whole to the community that are recovering, tax-paying, productive members of society. Mm-hmm. That is my job.
Yeah. Very emotional for you.
It is.
Yeah. I can almost feel you wanting to jump through the microphone like this is just so I love this so much, which is very inspiring. So thank you for sharing it, because things get a bad rap, and when people don't have a clue about the program, that's kind of what we're doing here, is to kind of lay things out of like, everyone's story is different, but at the same time, the overall goal to me, like you mentioned, lowering the jail bill, even it's expensive to keep people in jail.
It absolutely is. Mercer County has a very high jail bill, and it's something that we are, constantly working to reduce by placing people in treatment and giving people second chances. Like I said, our sanctions are rarely ever a jail sanction. Mm-hmm. Like we will try everything, and I mean literally everything, before we put somebody in the regional jail. It looks like, increasing their community service. It looks like, getting your clean time paused or losing your clean time because you've had a positive screen. It looks like, having to write essays,
essays.
Yeah. Like what does your recovery mean to you? What is honesty? What is the difference between honesty and rigorous honesty? It's like looking at yourself and like identifying like where you're struggling and really having to put some thought into it. Like we challenge you.
Sure. Rigorous honesty, Lakie, Delida. Perfect. I love it. All right. So that kind of clears it up. And I imagine someone who's like really bad off, that need bars in front of them to not do drugs, would be maybe someone that you would use as a sanction, as you call it.
Well, sometimes like people are a danger to themselves.
Right.
Like they are, using to the point where like they're not going to stay in detox if we send them, even if they have the community like monitoring, like the GPS monitoring that we use. Like we can put the home confinement bracelet on them. We can send them to detox, but their addiction is so out of control that we can't get them to stop using, no matter what. So sometimes like it takes, sitting in there. And, the jails have become a lot more progressive too. Like, we're not sending people in there to detox and to be sick. Like, the jails have implemented treatment into their system as well.
Mhm.
So we're sending people in there to get the medicine in their system and give it a chance to work.
Sure.
So they can come back out and do what they need to do.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing, step one, you got to want to quit for it to be a success. But I did come across a story, and I won't mention any names of this story, but it went kind of, I call it like county viral, like got real popular in Southern West Virginia, of a woman who turned down drug court to go to prison or jail instead. And I'm kind of, I just want to make sure we examine all of the reasons someone would do that. Now, when you say set up, some people feel set up for failure. What are they typically referring to? Like, what does that necessarily mean? And sometimes it could mean like, yeah, I still want to do drugs, but are there other reasons that someone may go through that?
Well, sometimes people don't always get their way. Like, they feel like that their treatment should look like this, when a team of experts are looking at them and looking at their history and saying, we know this is not going to work. Like, we have to try something different.
Mm-hmm.
So, in particular cases,
sure,
they don't want to go to a sober living facility. They want to go and live at home instead of going to treatment. So that might be their setup for failure, because like when you go to a sober living facility, you have an additional set of rules and guidelines that you have to follow, inclusive to the ones that you have to follow in drug court. They kind of match, but like sometimes it's a little bit more intensive. Like 12-step meetings are a general, mandatory requirement for sober living facilities.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody wants to take that journey to recovery. And that's okay. Like, maybe like what it takes for them to get clean and stay clean is to sit in jail. Maybe they'll have that epiphany while they're there. But like, that's typically what the setup for failure is
Gotcha.
Like their expectations didn't match our expectations.
That makes sense. I mean, and some people have problems with authority and, yada, 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 yada. But thanks for clarifying. And let's talk the process a little bit. Let's go with you, Jimmy. So what was your experience in drug court? Like, do you withdraw first, or, do they say, okay, well, here's your guidelines. You're gonna, wake up at 6 a.m. You're gonna do your homework. You're gonna, I don't know. Like, what's the first steps?
I mean, in drug court, you do have a schedule, and something as addicts that we don't have is a schedule for anything except for to wake up and go get high. So it took somebody to tell me what time I had to be somewhere and do this, to create a schedule in my life, and, create a calendar to where I know when I got to be, where I got to be, and what time I got to be there. And that creates, a day-to-day cycle that you follow.
Mm-hmm.
Structure and
Yeah,
accountability.
Yeah,
it's hard to go from waking up every day and my mind being on 100% go for how I'm going to get high, who I'm going to rob, what I'm going to steal, like what I'm going to do to get high, to waking up and, let me make my bed first thing I do every day when I wake up, or, go get a shower. I'm going to make me something to eat. Like, you forget all that when you're in addiction. Like, nothing else matters. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll go a week or two without a shower. I ain't making my bed. I probably ain't even got a bed to sleep in. I probably woke up at the park somewhere or something. Like, so it creates structure and gives you something to latch onto. And I hear a lot of negative stuff come from, people that have been involved in these type of programs. And it's the people that's not willing to change. They want it how they want it. You know what I mean? And these programs haven't been set and work for so many people for you to come in and tweak them to your own benefit and make them work in your own way.
Right. And it'll establish, like, if someone comes in and, like you mentioned, couldn't read or, didn't have their high school diploma. So obviously part of their plan is going to be involved getting a GED, maybe some type of trade certification or, things like that.
We have people that are learning how to weld. We have people that are getting their CDLs after they get their license back. We have people that are taking the PRSS classes and learning how to give back to the recovery community and how to better society a little bit. We have so many options for people.
It's beautiful. Podcasters? Nobody yet?
No, nobody yet.
Okay. Yeah, maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Never know. So Waneta, what about you? What were your goals coming in?
Listen, I was the goal setting person of the lifetime. From before I even got here. Because my situation's a little different. I didn't come off the street. I came from jail, from the goals program, from the rehab in jail. So I had already had a year clean time under my belt before I even made it down here. Plus the program. So I was already on point with smashing goals, to the point that my, the person that was overseeing the Highland House, told me that I needed to slow down on it because I was...
You're making everyone look bad.
I was just creating and smashing. I was like, but I thought that's the point. But, it's all taught me how to maintain it, to keep it going steadily, to not put too much on my plate. When I get too much on my plate, I get stressed out. When I get stressed out, things go to shambles.
Sure.
So, it's helped me keep everything structured to maintain myself, to maintain my sanity.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to completely judge you right now, but let me just say, you having a rough life growing up, I see you most likely, you were a dealer. So for me, I'm looking at people's assets, entrepreneurial mindset. You probably took care of yourself your whole life, majority of it, and controlled your own path, even though you steered in the dark some. But to me, I see that as potential skills that we can just say, well, you went this way, but all we got to do is change that to go this way. You know what I mean? So that's how I see a lot of the program.
And what's terrible is the breaking point for each person naturally is always different. When a person finally gets to the point to when they've just can't take it anymore and they've had enough. It unfortunately, my breaking point was a little more drastic than what it should have ever had to have been. But I lost my dad when I was in jail this last time.
Oh,
and I went in to the bid knowing that he probably wouldn't make it through another big bid.
Was he close?
Yeah. I'm a daddy's girl, and that was my turning point. That was it. When he passed away, when I was in there, I said, well, if you get me out of this one this time, we're going to do something different. I'm done driving. Driving is not my forte, apparently, when it comes to me. So I just let go, and everything ended up panning out. And the cliche saying of, once you do the right thing, doors will open up for you. It sounds so cliche, but let me tell you, that is true.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that is full on facts. And it still happens every single day for me. Like, something new happens all the time, and it's big always. And like, I have gotten relationship back with one of two of my children. My youngest still is not talking to me yet, but my oldest is. He's just told me on Saturday they're having a baby. I got my first grandchild.
Congratulations.
So, the doors definitely continue to open steadily.
Yeah. Oh, and I believe in that too. How I see it is life is full of decisions, and if you make a good decision, a bad decision, a lukewarm decision, whatever, it's going to multiply over time.
Yes.
It's like an investment in your future.
Yes.
And thankfully, I've made a lot of good decisions, and I got a sugar mama. Shout out. She's been really good to me, providing insurance for a diabetic. But but anyway, I relate to that in a lot of ways. I think people, and you got to let go. We tend to be narcissists, and you got to let go of that.
Yeah.
You got to just say, listen, you got to figure out how to realize that you are the one screwing up.
Yeah. And that's our problem. We are the problem,
Right.
and until we can get us fixed, we're going to continue being that problem.
Yeah.
And the programs like drug court, it helps fix that.
Yeah. Well, and now granted, everyone has a different hand they've been dealt, and yours sucked. Your hand sucked. But at the same time, it's like, what's the other option? And we see the other option all the time. People OD, they die, or they get killed, they go missing, whatever it is. We see that other option all the time. And I'm just, it gives me so much hope when I see people taking that other option. So,
Took me a long time to figure it out, but
sure,
I'm there now.
Well, I mean, it's day by day, and I'm glad to see it. So the 12-step program, did that resonate with any of you all, or is it kind of, because to me, my understanding of it, and I'm agnostic, like I firmly believe anyone, as long as you're benefiting the world, I love that you believe in what you believe in. I have so many friends across the spectrum of beliefs, and I love it that way. But from what I understand, the 12-step program, you don't have to necessarily be religious to follow it and for it to be able to work.
Right. Yeah, you just need a higher power. And like they will tell you, it don't matter what it is. It can be, that skull could be your higher power. You could find a little rock on the ground and that could be your higher power. Anything that you can focus you on.
But there are some suggestions with that. Like make sure that your higher power is loving and caring and greater than yourself. So, there are some parameters that people set in those 12-step rooms.
Yeah.
I actually worked the 12-step program with Recovery Point and, forming a conception of a higher power. And because I've never been really religious throughout my life. And, just getting involved and going to a church and ended up getting baptized and coming to the realization that, my God loves me for who I am. And I wouldn't be who I am today if I hadn't went through everything that I've been through. And I love me today. So everything that I've been through, it might have been rough then, but now it's beneficial to not only me, but all the people around me that are struggling with the same things that I've been through. So if I can be that beacon of hope that they talk about and reach one person out of all these people that I try to help, like I've done my purpose. That is my purpose now, is to help people. And it helps me stay sober, helping other people, bringing them, to recovery. Not just, it doesn't, and you don't even have to put, cause you got NA, you got AA, you got all these other, and I've never been big on, talking about, oh, well, you got to pick this one or that one, like work some steps out, find yourself,
Turns out they're all the same steps. It doesn't matter what program you're in.
just like buying a Mountain Dew. You know what I mean? You got Mountain Dew, you got Mountain Holler, you got citrus drop, whatever it may be. But it might be a little different, but it's all the same. You know what I mean? So you get the same vibe from it.
So you're like the great value version of no.
I'm
kidding. I know, but yeah, man. And I love to hear that. It's like I definitely feel like all of you have fell into your purpose for sure. And like I mentioned, people having boots on the ground experience are the best workers when it comes
like
to
that's
this
the
stuff.
most beneficial thing for me to, like I said, to stay sober is being able to get out there and see people where I was. Because they tell us all the time, remain right sized. Don't ever think that you're just, you're one bad decision away from being back in prison or, being back on the street, strung out. those relationships that you've rebuilt turning right back to ash. Like it's all right there. Like when I wake up in the morning, you know, the first thing I do is thank God for blessing me with this life that I have today. Cause it's amazing to wake up. Like I wake up all the time. I'm wondering like, you know, what's going to happen today. And then all those things that we worry about, like, you know, oh, I need a car, or I need this, or I need that. Like it just falls into place. All you got to do is the next right thing, and all that stuff just falls into place.
It absolutely does.
You don't even have to stress yourself out about it anymore. Like you got to put in the work, obviously, but if I spend all my time stressing about something that I have no control over, then I'm not going to put forth my maximum effort on what I'm trying to do in life.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely a huge part of my recovery. Like my job absolutely fuels the reason that I'm able to be the person I am today. Like one of my goals when I accepted the job was to be the probation officer that I needed when I was in the program, and to learn how to like encourage change rather than force compliance. Because when we force people to comply with these rules, they get really resentful and they look at it from a different perspective. But when we encourage change, like real change, and we help them to facilitate that, they are owning their own recovery. And when they set their own goals and we don't set them for them, like,
yeah, that's
it helps them build that self-esteem.
Sure.
You know?
I love that you put it that way, because often, you know, they have organizations that go into, let's say, any community in West Virginia, and then they go in that community and they say, here's what you need to do. And, you know, they'll do whatever, they'll make their little garden, or they'll do, you know, whatever idea they come in there forcing upon these people is, and then it'll eventually die. The idea will die. It won't be maintained or whatever it is, because the community never really had a say-so on the direction. So it sounds like this program, yeah, it's strict in ways that it needs to be, structured, but it also allows their voice to say like, well, you know, my dad was a welder. You know, I kind of really want to try that. Maybe make him proud. And then you kind of assess their current situation and build out their plan to get there.
Absolutely. They build it themselves. Like we just facilitate it.
Love it. All right. So Waneta, tell me about your life now. It sounds to me, it sounds like being an addict is like running life on a treadmill. It sounds completely exhausting. This sounds way easier. But is. Now, granted, I mean, it was hard to get here, but is it kind of once you get to where, you know, you are now, does life get a little easier over time?
It does, just for the fact of I know how to deal with it now. I didn't deal with anything well in the madness. Like nothing whatsoever. Did not deal with, if it didn't have to do with me, mine, and my drug or meat business, it didn't matter. And it just, it's gotten to the point to where, nope, I just lost complete train of thought.
No, you're fine. You're fine. My main question. So I have some really dumb, insensitive questions. What kind of drugs did you sell, and did you hide it in the meat? I'm just curious.
Gosh. Okay, so didn't want to do anything too incriminating there. I have been charged and imprisoned for federal heroin charges and state meth charges. Now, a lot of the times throughout all the years of selling steak, chicken, seafood, and all that door to door, I was an addict and I wasn't really selling. Did I buy large quantities? Absolutely.
Gotcha. Okay.
Absolutely. And probably had them down in the bottom of my freezer a time or 12,
yeah.
You know? But like it just,
I just imagine you like, here comes the meat lady, you know. And these are totally insensitive jokes, but you got to lighten it up a little bit.
I was a fully functioning addict, like fully functioning, enough to the point to where I could come up, knock on your door, hook you, get the food, bring it in the house, and show it to you, sell it to you, put it in your freezer, and leave it with you, and you would never have known that I was high.
Really?
And I was
very functional.
Very. Yeah. Like, and it's just my life today compared to my life then, it was nothing but chaos.
Oh, yeah.
It was chaos from the get-go, you know, at the young age, you know, it started out there. And today it's peaceful.
It's you know, all this Starbucks coffee, $7. This sucks. You know, that's the worst problem. Yeah.
I'd say probably the worst things that I have to deal with now is, you know, I had to get snow tires and hit a deer, and you know, I have real everyday problems now instead of the problems that I had all of those years.
Thank the Lord. Have any of y'all been Narcaned?
I have been Narcan probably more than 20 times.
More than 20 times? So that's, thank you for sharing that.
I've Narcaned a lot of people.
Did you?
Oh.
You was never Narcaned yourself?
No, I've been pronounced dead 5 times, and not a single one of them was from overdosing.
Goodness gracious.
And
I feel lazy.
Right?
I feel boring. Lazy. All right, no, go ahead.
I don't know. I've always been, I almost went with the wrong wording there. I've always been take everything to the max type of person, and drugs included, but knock on wood, you know, I
now it's pumpkin spice lattes. Yeah. Well, thank goodness. And we're on to greener pastures. So Jimmy, I make a post every now and then about Narcan and how people's out there, you know, literally changing the world that have been Narcaned over 10 times is one post I've shared, and it really resonated with people. And I just, you know, sounds weird, but I love hearing people that have moved on to this positive phase of their life where, you know, Narcan has given them, naloxone has given them another chance. And to me, it's like, I don't care how many chances. I don't care how mad they get. You know, a life is a life, and let's give that life a chance to find the right decision. So how do you feel about it?
I mean, I've definitely had a difference of opinion, not only in myself and the whole, like there was times in active addiction to where I wish they would have just not Narcan me, honestly, and just let me go. I could have, at the time, I could have thought of no better way to go. Peaceful, happy. You would have gave me what I want. But, you know, all those times and, you know, coming to and then dealing with the after effects, and just like, I'm grateful for those people today. And then to get to be on the other side of it, like not too long ago, I was the person that Narcan somebody, and you know, there was no judgment with it. It was just like, it was instinct. Like we know what's wrong. Let's save their life. And then there's a lot of people. It's usually people with the opinions that, you know, they've never been through, you know, addiction or anything like that. But I'm just one of them people, like, I don't really care about what somebody else thinks about me.
Sure. No. Yeah. And that's the way to be, and I'll play the devil's advocate on their end. You know, I hear the argument of, well, insulin should be free, and, you know, and naloxone is readily available for people. And I'm like, as a diabetic, I can speak for this. That's a really dumb argument. Like, I think insulin should be free too. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But I just, I think we have trouble putting ourselves into other people's situations constantly. And we just think like, oh, well, they get what they deserve. They asked for it. It's like, no, that's not exactly what we're dealing with here. Like, yeah, they made some choices that you wouldn't have made, and they made some bad choices. But at the same time, it just takes one time for them to hit the ladder and start climbing, and that's what I'm always holding on to. So,
I mean, when you're in addiction, like, and there wasn't one time that I've like been Narcan and came out of it to where I wasn't upset, thinking that, like, oh, I was good. You could have just, but it was just people following procedure. You know what I mean? Like, there's a really big story that was on Netflix that had a lot of things to do with Huntington, West Virginia, and the Narcan and the people down there that, like you said, had the boots on the ground doing things and saving lives. And it's just crazy today to be able to look back at all that madness that we talk about and just look at how calm my life is today. Like, it's just crazy to think about, for real. Like, all those things that I used to do and all the people that I've hurt, and just it's crazy to think about. And that drives me today to want to help people.
Shoot, yeah. And I'll get into that. So Heroin, the movie on Netflix,
Yes.
Would you believe those are my mentors?
Really?
Yeah, Curran and Elaine Sheldon is who made it. And they were like Curran convinced me to quit my job to start my marketing agency, and all. They're just really good friends, and that movie is incredible. Anybody that wants to watch it, Recovery Boys is really good too.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah. So and Recovery Point, what all does your organization do?
So we are a long-term treatment facility, 9 to 12 months. We work you through the steps. You have a recovery coach. It's kind of like a alternative sentence from going to jail or prison. We work hand in hand with drug court and other facilities around the area that are, highly involved in the recovery community. Behavior modification is the big word that comes up when you talk, because a lot of times these guys that come into the program, they're already set in their ways so much from being out there for so long, because just it's hard to break from.
Sure.
But we just do so much. Like, not only is do we have this inpatient treatment facility, like we have behavioral health in-house now. Like, we got routes to recovery. We're transporting people from a facility to another recovery facility, to doctor's appointments, to to whatever. Like, we're expanding for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my job is just rewarding to me, because like I said before, like, I get to go into court. I get to get these guys out of jail and into the program, and some make it and some don't, and that's just the reality of it. But I remember sitting in jail wondering, like, when I was going to be leaving, or where I was going to be going, or who was coming to get me. If somebody had read my application for a program or any of that. So it gives me a sense of pride in my work to like move quickly, because I know what it's like to be sitting there waiting on that phone call or that letter from somebody. And I just wouldn't be where I'm at today, man, without all these programs being involved. Because if none of this was ever happening, then I would still be out there in the streets. This wasn't something that I was going to stop doing on my own. Like, you hear people talk about it sometimes, like, oh, I did this for so long and then I got myself together. I'm not one of those people. I needed structure. I needed discipline. I needed all these things set in place to get me to where I am. And a lot of that is a lot of hard work that went into that. You know, like, they write a lot of words in the program over there. Like, I wrote 190,000 words while I was there, which is consequences of the issues that I was having.
Sure.
Like, we transitioned over to MAT now. You can come in the program and get medicated assisted treatment now, and not just, come in and just straight detox and then go through the program. Like, we're evolving with the times. And I think that's what's most important is getting on board and on page with everybody else and creating a solution that is more beneficial to everybody and not just one person.
Right.
Love it. Shout out to your friend. You was mentioning that was like, hey, Jimmy, you're making a bad decision. Like, you're going to go to drug court, daggone it.
That was actually my my old PO.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Not this one from Huntington. Like I said, we had a really I think that's one of the most beneficial things with both drug court programs that I participated in is, you think probation officer and you think just cut and dry, you do this and it's over. Like, you build friendships with those people and genuine care and concern, because one of the things like that helps me to this day, stay on my path is the brotherhood that I have with my brothers that I've been through these programs with. You know what I mean? Like, if I don't hear I love you 100 times a day from everybody around me, you know what I mean? And it's just lift you up, encouragement, you know what I mean? Make you feel good about yourself, because we're down there. You mentioned rock bottom earlier. We have a saying that, when you feel like you're in rock bottom, find that door because there's a basement.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That makes so much sense. Well, the community aspect, I would say, and I've had people in here that have been able to somehow, by the grace of God, recover solo, and their story's different and this and that. But like you said, it's everyone's experience is different, but that community aspect, I would say, is pretty huge, because if you're talking to someone that's been straight-laced their whole life and done the right thing and parents both loved them and stayed around, they don't, those people are great and they can be good people, but at the same time, it's not the same as someone who's been there and understands. Yeah. So makes a lot of sense.
I just think there's a really big stigma that comes with people in addiction too. And there's just a lot that people don't know. Like, people in recovery are the ones that, come install your cable. We're the ones making your food. We're the guys right now outside of the Walmarts and the other facilities ringing the bell for donations, like for the Salvation Army. Like, and I think it's 180,000 hours of community service that just our facility is done for, not just, the Bluefield, but all around as a whole.
Oh, heck yeah.
We're involved, and that's beneficial to not only the participants for helping, but for the community as well. Like, we mow grass in the summertime. Like, you can get set up to where, if you're not able to cut your grass, we'll come cut your grass for you. We do car washes to help benefit. Like, we do a lot. And that community, the recovery community as a whole, because I can't just put one name on it at all, because
sure,
it's so huge, is like no other.
Oh yeah. I mean, everyone passes addicts every day.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we like to think like, oh, we're so much high and more mighty than anyone else, but like, people you never would have imagined.
Yeah. Sometimes they don't. So I work a second part-time job, and my addiction has never been brought up, but there was a conversation that was being had one night, and there were some things that was being said. I'm not going to say whether it was good or bad, but, I just brought it up in conversation. I was like, well, I'm a recovering addict, right? And it was just like, oh, like, they didn't.
Sure.
Like, there's no way. Like, yeah.
All the time, man. Crazy thing, my meat lady was actually, yeah. Oh, Lord.
There I am.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah. Well, all right. So, wrapping it up here, what do we have to tell? And we can go one at a time. Whoever wants to take this first, let's just say Lakie. What would you have to tell someone who's out there struggling right now and just are so fed up with themselves for not being able to stick with it? How can they take those first steps to actually find recovery?
Well, like, recovery is readily available. There are 800 numbers that you can call that will connect you to 1,000 resources that we have in West Virginia. when you're ready to take that first step, just make the call. And there are people that are willing to help you and will go out of their way to make sure that you get exactly where you need to be to take the next step. And like to the people that are out there using, like you're going to stop using one day. The question is are you going to be breathing when that day happens? Because you're going to quit. Everybody stops. Like the question is do you get to live after that?
Sure. And I hope you do out there if you're listening. Like I mentioned, we're going to get everybody in recovery and on the right path. I don't care how long it takes, and we're going to keep talking about it. But what about you, Waneta? What is that initial quality someone has to have to even start this journey?
They just need the want to change. Once you have the need, the want, you have more power behind you to put action, to make it into an action, to follow up and find a program to get into or a meeting to find, or, however they decide to go about figuring out their path. There's multiple different ways. You can do inpatient, outpatient, MAT, sober living, transitional living. There's multiple pathways to the exact same end as what all of us has found.
Sure. Love it. What about you, Jimmy?
So just what comes to mind is we got a saying, it's honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. I got to be honest that I have a problem. I got to be open-minded to other people's suggestions on how to solve that problem. And I got to be willing to put in the work, because I can't expect nothing just to be handed to me. So I gotta put the work in to make it happen and to see the results. Because once you start getting those results, like our addictive mindsets makes us want more of that too. So it's like, what's next? What am I going to do next? Positive
addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it always comes out in some way. Like,
oh yeah,
I like shoes, I like clothes, I like jewelry, I like other things. But today I work to provide those things. And I don't never go without, like, my rent's paid, my car bill's paid, everything else is paid, my kids taken care of, all that. And I like to look nice. I like to, things that I like, what I mean? There's find different things in your life that you're, comfortable with spending money on.
Sure.
That you can have something to show for it.
Yeah, goals. And I see that for me as I was able to start a business because I get literally obsessed.
Yeah.
I get obsessed and I go full tilt. Like if I went full tilt on heroin the way I have with the business, there's no way I'd be here. So I see it as like, well, thankfully I wanted to make movies at some point, and then I just turned that into something completely insane. But yeah, I really believe it's not that those qualities necessarily go away. It's just which direction are you going to point them? Like, which direction are you going to take with those qualities?
It's all about the choices we make.
Mindset, yeah.
Being able to balance it out, because I'm so used to just going 100 on everything. Never been able to draw myself back. And now it's like, well, maybe I shouldn't do that, because I know what the consequences will come out to be.
Sure,
and back then we never thought about anything. We just took action on it. Yeah. We just did. Mm-hmm. That was it. We just did it. And
no
we
such
think
thing
about things
as a bad idea to a drug addict. Like, we're going to go rob this bank, and this is how we're going to do it, and this and this. You're like, all right, I'm sick. Let's get there.
And we'll know the consequences ahead of time, and the consequences do not outweigh like how sick you are and how like twisted your mind is and how obsessed you are with finding that next. So like the consequences no longer matter. And that's what what I mean when I say your decision is no longer there. You no longer have a choice. It's about just continuing.
Yep. What does withdrawal feel like?
Withdrawal is the absolute worst thing that I've ever been
to
through.
Death you can get without dying.
It's like having the flu, but like having the flu on steroids. like your eyes are watery and your nose is running and you're sneezing and your body hurts and like your tummy hurts and your mind races. I think that's the worst part of it, is like the way that it messes with your mind. That's the only thing that you can think about. Like, it just becomes this constant obsession. Like, what am I going to do? Who am I going to call? What's the next step after I do this? Then what am I going to do? Like, where's the money coming from? How am I going to get there? And it just becomes this lifestyle, and learning to change that and apply those skills to something different is very difficult. And that's why drug court's hard. That's why recovery's hard. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, essentially, it's your brain rewiring.
Yes.
Like, it's going through a chemical reaction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like
And it takes
all
time
about-
to rewire your brain.
it's
Yeah.
it's all about like finding ways to create that dopamine that your brain was so used to making while you're using. Like, your brain gets really lazy when you're actively using drugs, because the dope that you're putting in your brain, like in your body, actually stimulates the brain to make dopamine. And that's what the happy, feel good neurotransmitter in your body. And like, you have to learn how to create that dopamine without the dope. And for me personally, that has been in goal setting. Like,
You just blew my mind. Is that where dope comes from?
I mean, does
It come from the word dopamine?
I can't say, but
I mean, I think that makes sense to me.
it makes sense to me as well.
Oh my goodness.
But,
My mind is blown right now.
you know, it's learning how to create that dopamine in a healthy way. Some people find that in relationships, which is not always the healthiest way, but like, people will find their new drug. For me, it was goal setting. Like, I wanted to get my children back in my life because that was something that I lost, during active addiction. I wanted to get an education. I wanted to be somebody. Today, I'm 2 classes away from getting my master's degree. I haven't stopped setting goals. Like, I wanted to be a recovery coach. So I became a recovery coach. And then like, I finished my degree and I wanted to work in the field of addiction. And I went to work at the methadone clinic that I visited and was a patient of, and I was a counselor there. And then, it was more goals. Like, I want to get my alcohol and drug counseling. And I went on to do that. And then it's like, oh, well, like, what's next? Like, now I'm working on my master's.
Yeah.
Like, it's finding ways to create that dopamine in healthy ways, and finding a way to express that creativity that everybody has with substance use disorder. Like, we are some of the most ingenuitive, creative humans, and intelligent.
Oh, you had to
Like-
solve a lot of problems
Yeah.
back then until you didn't solve one.
Dumb drug addicts don't live very long.
Right.
Like, so you have to be creative and adaptive, and you have to be able to fluctuate and fit in order to survive in that world.
Product of
So
your environment.
you
Yeah.
you learn how to do that in a healthy way.
Love it. And plus, you roll up on Lakie, she's packing heat, son. You don't want to start no mess with Lakie. Oh man, I've loved this episode so much. Let's finish this up with a Yelp review of drug court. All right.
It's a 1 across the board. No, I'm just kidding.
Out of 5 stars, what's the Yelp review on your experience? We can't just say all 5 stars. I mean,
Well, we can't, because, everybody's experience is valid.
Sure.
Some people have not had the best experience with this program. And, it could have been their mindset. It could have been the set of conditions that they were given when they came in. Like, probation and drug court is also evolving. Like, we create new best standards and new practices all the time. And the way that we implement treatment and that we implement supervision changes. So like, the drug court that we're in today is not necessarily the drug court that somebody came into 4 years ago.
Right.
So their experience is valid. Like, if they had a bad experience, they had a bad experience. But like, the thing is it's not a setup for failure. Like, if you want to do it, you can. There are people that graduated the program even when it was like the most difficult, and the standards weren't necessarily the best standards. Like when you couldn't have medicated assisted treatment and be in the program, which is illegal. So I hope no other state is like denying people that.
Suboxone, good or bad?
I think it's a life-saving instrument and a medication that treats the symptoms of addiction. Like I think there are a lot of people that wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for that.
Yep. I think so too. And, and then people get upset over that, like, oh, that, so-and-so Suboxone clinic, I don't want that coming in my neighborhood,
Well, here's the
like
thing.
that.
It's like people use keywords to promote their own agenda.
Right. Oh, we do that with everything.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
We do. And, one of the things that I've heard about drug court is that it's a money racket. And is there a fee to be in drug court? There absolutely is. Like you pay $700 to be a part of the program. But you know what? Like when drug court's run white.
The whole program?
The whole program.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
It really is. But like it doesn't go into the pockets of the judge and it sure doesn't go into my salary. It goes back into the participants that are going to be coming into the program next. Like that money is setting an account that's independent from all other money and is used just for participants.
Mm-hmm.
It's used to pay for their graduations. It's used to pay for their incentives. It's used to help them get haircuts, to buy food, to buy clothing when they don't have clothing, to get dentures, to go to the doctor. Like it's used for so many good things and it's never to line somebody else's pocket. So that is a myth that I wanted to definitely address while we're here today. Like, the way that I run.
I don't know. Like you drove here in like a really bad truck. I haven't even looked outside. I don't know what you drove in. I was trying to make a joke and I couldn't.
But like the way that we do our program is the money that people are paying in goes into the people that come next. Like it's through those incentives, like the managed behaviors that I was talking about.
Right.
Like once you get to a certain point in the program, we expect you to be able to manage those distal and proximal goals that we've set for you and that you've set for yourself for that matter. And then we no longer reward you for those behaviors because you should have accomplished that by now.
Yep.
But when you're very new in the program, we incentivize you very heavily because that is a huge goal. You know what? You showed up on time every day this week. That is a big freaking deal. You read out loud in class today. You participated in community service. Like you get some tokens and you can go in there and buy the things that you need to assess your basic needs. And by the time you're into the program far enough to be paying into the program, you're paying for the new people to get those incentives. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it makes total sense.
And like we get what we have by like giving it away. You know, we can't keep it. Like if we're not actively like trying to help somebody else recover, because that's how we stay healthy, right? It's like by helping the next person.
Oh yeah. Well, $700, that's like 10 steak dinners. It's not, now listen, people are struggling and especially in that situation, money's hard to come by, but at the same time, you have to keep the program going somehow. And that actually gives them some buy-in into the program.
Absolutely.
In my opinion, it's like, oh, you just want to gave to you. Well, funny thing, I'm not the one who did the drugs. So, you kind of got to buy in.
And that's where
be
the
a part of
community
it.
service comes in as well. It's like we're also paying back into the community. I think this year alone, they picked up like 10,000 pounds of trash out of Mercer County. The drug court participants did.
That's awesome.
It's an amazing process. And, there are some people that don't make it through the program. But you know what? Like they're not coming out of this empty-handed because they learned something, whether they wanted to or not while they were here. So maybe that little bit that they're taking will help them later on down the road. And that's really what I hope for when it is an unfortunate circumstance where they are a danger to themselves or they're a danger to the community or they're a danger to the integrity of the program. Like we've given you so many chances and like we just have run out of options.
Sure. I love it. So 4.4 out of 5 stars. Pizza is a little cold.
Yeah.
We'll say that's the Yelp review. Okay. That is pretty daggone good. How do you have like a number of the success rate?
Well, I didn't bring that with me. However, I do want to brag. We have 9 graduates graduating in Mercer County in 2 weeks.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
And that is the biggest drug court graduation that we've ever had in that county. So like, I think we're doing good things.
That's
And, like,
pretty daggone good. You know, to
and-
me, anything we can do to save a life, I mean, multiple lives is great, but I think it's worth it. So, you know, I'm definitely glass half full when it comes to this because, you know, it's evident there's a lot of really great examples. 3 in the studio, even though technically Lakie's the only one that failed.
Right.
Yeah, you know.
Right. That's the hard, cold truth about it. It's like they graduated and I did not.
I mean, you know, you can always go back through it, you know, just run back through.
No, thank you.
We're done with that. Yeah. We're done. But yeah, I very, very inspired. All right. What about y'all? What's your overall opinion? Could you have done it without drug court? Or, you know, I don't want to give all the benefit to drug court because it's you personally too. So
I believe I definitely would not be exactly where I'm at today if it wasn't for drug court. And I say that because the structure, of course, keeps me moving today, the accountability. But Lakie also helped me acquire my current position. So if I wouldn't have went through that program and everything, I wouldn't have met her. I wouldn't have, you know, we wouldn't have clicked, and she definitely would not have put me forth for the position. You know, like, so my life would definitely be different. I don't know how, but it would not be what it is today if it wasn't for me coming down here and going through the program. I'm very thankful for the program, for all the 3 programs that I've been through in my life. You know, I'm not quite like the rest of them. My last chance was my first chance. But I mean, I literally took it and ran with it and did everything I could just to make sure that I won't go back to that life. Like I don't, there's nothing back there for me.
Love it. Well, what about you, Jimmy? Drug court thoughts?
I just think that it was a great opportunity, and the amount of time that they gave me to get it together, like chance after chance, like, you know, they seen something in me that I didn't see in myself. And sometimes that's what it takes to help somebody in addiction, because, you know, coming into it, self-esteem is really low. You know, you don't have any goals, no aspirations to do anything. And just being surrounded by positive people that are willing to help you. At first, you're kind of like standoffish because in the madness, you know, people trying to help you, they probably want something from you. But, you know, just seeing that all somebody wants is to see you do better in life, and that just do nothing but put you in a position to do, like, you know, I can't hold your hand and walk you down the path, but I can show you the path and tell you how to get to where you're going. But I'm not going to pat your butt through it. You know what I mean? Like, you either want it or you don't, you know what I mean? And some people want it and some people don't. And, you know, a lot of the negativity that comes with recovery as a whole, we ain't gonna put a cap on it by calling it one thing or another. It's people that haven't made that first step.
Yeah.
And put the effort in to actually change.
Well, thank you all. I'm glad you're all still here, because the world is definitely a brighter place with you here. So I appreciate all your work. What do we plug? Recovery Point, shout out Mercer County Adult Drug Court. I mean, I hope you don't end up there, but if you end up there, it's a good thing. You know,
use your time wisely if you do.
Yeah. Use your time wisely. Anything else we want
Learn
to plug?
as much as you can.
If you end up there, I can't want it for you more than you want it for yourself. So, like, if you end up in the drug court program, hopefully you come in open-minded and willing to do something different than what you've always done, because what you've always done has continued to land you in situations where you're in the system to begin with.
Yep.
Nothing changes and nothing changes.
That's right.
That's right. Well, thank you all. Everyone out there, thank you for listening. Have you been to drug court? Let us know in the comments. I told Lakie, do not look at the comments because it's hard to tell what's going to be said. But I think overall, everyone, this has been a really positive episode, and I appreciate you taking time to be here. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to Creepalachia on YouTube if you haven't. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, take a minute and leave a review. That'll really help the show be found. And we are on Facebook and Instagram. We were on TikTok. I don't know if we are now. We got banned. But we'll see. I got an appeal going. So check there. If we're there, great. But everyone else, remember, above all else, long live Appalachia.